Hello. I have to hold my phone because the oh my god, my thing does not work. It keeps falling off. But that's okay because I really want to get something out that I was literally thinking about as I was falling asleep. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. I just feel everything that's happening in the world right now, it's like pretty intense energy. But I wanted to just put it out there to remind anyone that we are being controlled through our emotions. And this is simply because we're never taught how to navigate our emotions at all in our society. We don't know how to process them. We don't know what to do with them. When we feel bad, we find ways to cope and get rid of the feeling. Everything in our society is trying to get us to ignore our emotions. And I want to give you a different perspective on emotional regulation and remind you that you have the capabilities. It takes practice to feel exactly how you want to feel all of the time. If something is making you mad, it's not a matter of the object that is making you mad. That is not the problem. You are simply giving your power away to that object because you are allowing it to take away your peace and your happiness. And that's not to say that things shouldn't make us angry or upset or frustrated, but we have to learn how to stay in our power utilizing our emotions, because that is how we are being manipulated all of the time. Even if you look at food ads and literally everything, it's all advertised in a way to poke at your emotions and to get you when you're down so that you buy their product or whatever. So going more into that, I think that it's a good practice, rather than saying, I'm mad at you, right? Some object, some person. Say, I allowed myself to feel angry. I let myself get angry because of that thing or that person. And that puts it back onto you, where you're not making the outside world the problem. You're turning it back inward, and you're creating a mirror for yourself to look at yourself and say, why am I letting this thing control how I feel? Why am I giving it that much power over me to control how I feel? I don't know if you've ever had an experience with someone, like an altercation, where someone is trying to poke at you and get you angry. It's like a bully in high school. They feed on your fear and your anger, and when you get angry, they win. It makes them happy. It boosts their ego. But if you stay balanced, if you stay neutral, if you're just unbothered by whatever it is that they're trying to tell you, that makes them have an emotional reaction, because all of a sudden they're not able to control you in the way that they thought they were. So I say all of this because I think we're coming into a time in the world where it's more important than ever to start practicing. If you have never done this before in your life, start practicing emotional regulation and controlling yourself. When you find yourself in a frustrated moment, focus on turning it down, going inward, breathing, like calm yourself and show yourself that you are actually in control of your emotions. Because the first time that you're able to do this, you will show yourself that you are actually able to calm yourself and self-regulate. You don't need the world to be like picture perfect and everything set up exactly the way that you want in order for you to feel good inside. That's not realistic. That's never going to happen. And even if it was, it would just be an illusion of happiness. It wouldn't be authentic because we create our happiness from within. We also create our anger from within. We also create our frustration from within. And so every time that we're allowing something external to change the way that we feel, we can use that as an opportunity to grow and expand and better understand ourselves. It's not to get down on yourself whenever you feel upset or angry at something in the world. That has its right place. Like, you are allowed to feel anger, but you have to deal with that yourself. It's no one else's problem to deal with your anger or your frustration. And to take this a step further, whenever we are dysregulated, whenever we're sad or angry or frustrated, we're not able to make good decisions. We're not able to think logically. We're not able to problem solve and create solutions. The only way that we create solutions is when we are regulating ourselves and when we have balance. And if you can't reach for happiness, reach for neutrality. Like, that is always the answer, because when you're in a neutral state of being, you're allowing everything to exist. You can feel the denser emotions come up into your body, and you can feel the lighter emotions come into your body, and you're not being affected by either one of those. You're acknowledging that you are the driver and you are in control of this whole thing that is happening internally. So the less that you can respond emotionally to the world, the more power that you have, and it is actually more helpful for the world when you do that. Especially if you're like out in the world and you come into an altercation and you're not affected. Like, in that moment, you could be showing the other person how to emotionally regulate just by expressing that yourself. So yeah, that's mostly what I've had to say. I went into the store today and I got this cool visual for like having trust and faith, and I think those words are kind of thrown about in so many ways that it makes it confusing to even think about. But trust and faith truly comes from within, and it's not just like a matter of snapping your fingers and saying, I trust myself. You have to show up for yourself and prove to yourself that you are trustworthy. If you can create some kind of routine in your life and show yourself that you are trustworthy, your body is going to start responding to you in that way. Because every time that you don't do something that you said you were going to do or whatever, you're showing your body that you are lying to yourself. And you can never lie to yourself. Your subconscious mind knows everything that is happening. But it's acknowledging that you are lying to yourself. So the more that you can break that pattern, you will find more balance within yourself, because that is where the trust comes in. When you find yourself in a difficult situation, you can actually trust that you'll be able to get out of that situation. You'll be able to problem solve. You become like a teammate with your body and your mind. You're no longer fighting your mind and your body, and everything is like fighting each other. You all become one, and you're working together to achieve a goal. So, yeah. But anyways, I got sidetracked. I have too many thoughts going on. I went into the store, and the analogy for trust was like the sliding doors that open up for you. We have to just keep walking. Like, you can't stop and expect the door to open. I mean, you can if you're close enough. But if you keep walking, like, the reason I thought of this is because I walked into a spot that moments before the door was closed, and then all of a sudden it was open. And like, obviously in the physical world, like, whatever, if there was a malfunction or something, I would have just slammed into the door because I kept walking. But that was a good analogy for me to think of when it comes to trusting yourself, because you have to just keep walking. And when you prove to yourself over and over again that you do trust yourself, you will walk faster, you will walk more confidently into that next version of you, because you know that door is going to open. You just do. So, yeah, I think that's all that I have for now. I just want to make this a practice for myself to further my emotional regulation, because it's more important than ever. And there are so many things that can sidetrack us and distract us and put us off path and put us down and make us feel vulnerable and isolated and helpless. But if you are letting the outside world put you in that position, you are at their hands, and whatever the outside world says, you will have to obey, because you don't have any sense of power within yourself. So if you want to create sovereignty for yourself in the world that we live in, you have to learn emotional regulation.